Chris Kapilovic, go by Cap, make that a little bit easier. First of all, I want to thank Bob for inviting me to speak at this. It's quite an honor. I've been coming here since I think 2001 was my first one. You know, didn't know much about it and then discovered it. And I was at Alabama State at the time and came on up here. And since that point, I've told everybody I can come across any clinic I've been to. The greatest offensive line clinic in the world is right here at the Cool Clinic. So been coming for a long time, and then have the opportunity to speak at it. It's quite an honor. You know, Bob called me, and we had a rough year this past year. We lost 21 players for the season due to injuries, which was something I've never seen in 26 years, and it was brutal. So we had a tough year, and Bob asked me to come speak, and I was like, damn, Bob, we didn't have a good year. You know, I'm kind of half embarrassed to be up here. He says, oh, the hell with it. Everybody has a tough year, and you've had some good seasons, so we'll move on from there. I've coached high school ball for 7 years. I coached JUCO. I coached 1AA level. I've coached Group of 5, and I've had the opportunity to be at North Carolina now for 6 years. So I had a chance to work at all levels, and got a chance to coach some great kids and be around some great coaches. A lot of the stuff I've learned and done is from coming to this clinic and learning from these coaches. So the one thing that we're going to do today is a little bit off the beaten path. Is we're going to talk about just an off-season plan, having a year-long calendar, having a plan for your guys. I was going through it, and I think there's about 20 to 21 weeks during the year where, as college coaches, we can't do anything with our guys. That's a long time. And so if there's not a real good plan in place, I feel like there's some wasted time in there. So some of you guys probably already do this, but we always had drills and things they had to do and some different things. And as we've gone through the years, we went ahead and developed a calendar. So it's cyclical, and they know what to do year-round. When guys come in, they get trained from the older guys and from our GAs and from myself. So it kind of runs itself, and it's nice to have that. And we've had great progress, and we've seen a lot of results from it. So we're going to kind of share our plan here. I thought about this even when I was a high school coach. There's some things in here that I definitely could use. And, you know, when you come to these clinics, at least for me, I'm always trying to just pick one or two things or something I can do that can help me and help my programs. Hopefully something in here will help us out. So developing a year calendar. So we start off, we come back from the break. Hopefully we just won a bowl game. They get that little bit of time to go home, and we'll have an O-line meeting. In that meeting, as we go forward here, we'll take those guys and we'll just kind of get them cranked back up and get their mind right. So the one thing we do with our guys is when they come into that meeting, this is assigned to them. So what they have to do is they have to go and they have to put together a 20-play highlight of their best run plays and pass protection plays from the previous season. The reason for that is all of us think back, and we all think we're probably a little better than we really are. You know, I think back to when I was playing, and all I remember is the good plays. So, you know, the guys are coming off a little bit of a break, and they're remembering all the good things. So when I'm talking about a 20-play highlight, I want ass-kicking, great technique, doing the things that they were coached to do. And what happens is they start going through the games, you know, they see a pretty good play here and there, and they'll be like, you know, that's not perfect. So they start digging through it, and they really go through the season, and they really take some time and pride in putting together those 20 plays. What we're getting out of it also is they're seeing, you know what, I got a lot of stuff to work on. I'm not as good as I remember. I've got to really work on this technique. I got to give more. And the thing that does is it kind of gets them going. You're getting into that off season, and now they're motivated. I need to get better. I need to get better. And I'll sit down with them, and we'll go through that film, you know, when I'm off the road, or I'll take a day off the road here because we're usually out recruiting at this time, and really sit down with them, and they'll talk through why they pick those plays and what stands out about it. The next thing we do, and we have the luxury to do this, is we have NFL film in our building. So I have each one of those guys pick one or two O-linemen in the NFL that they want to emulate. So they go through and they watch his film and they build a highlight. This is what I want to be. So, you know, an easy one, our tackles, Joe Thomas was a guy they picked quite a bit. So they're going through, they put together that highlight, and again, it's something we sit down and watch. Okay, what are you trying to do? Why do you want to be like this guy? What are the things we need to do to improve on to be like him? And it's something they can refer to throughout the year. So this is a great motivator for them and give them some goals for the off-season program. The next thing we do with our guys is we want to have a purpose. I think too many people kind of get up and just go through the day. You know, you get up, I got to go to class, I got to go to weights, I got to go to workouts, whatever it is. They need to have a purpose every day. They need to have a purpose for that spring. What do they want to get accomplished? And so we tell them they have to really sit down and put some time and thought in it. It's got to be specific. It's not, I just want to get better. I'm going to really work on my outside hand and my pass protection. I'm going to do this or that. Get stronger in weight room. So we're talking football here. We're talking training, and we're talking non-football. So it may be something academically. It may be something else in their life. Oh, the laser pointer's not working, Gerard. I don't know if you can help me with that. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. The next thing, and this has been really instrumental for us, for the development of our guys, especially our young guys, our incoming guys, and our freshmen. We have a video playbook on our system, and that's your typical, you have the playbook rules, the diagrams, your base offense. The audio playbook is critical. That's something that we've done, and some of you guys may already do this. Some of you high school guys, you could do this even on Huddle. So the audio playbook, and it's a pain in the ass to do, but once you have it done, it's really good. So we take our first 4 days of install, and I go through it just like we're sitting in a meeting. So the playbook version will come up. I'll talk through it inside zone, 34-35. Okay, the rules will come up from the playbook. I'll talk through the rules, the diagrams of how to block all the fronts. I'm talking through that, and then I'll have about 7 or 8 plays. And so it's just like I'm sitting in the meeting. I'm rewinding, fast forwarding, I'm laser, I'm talking through hat placement, hand placement, my base, my feet, and going through it. The first time I did it took me 45 minutes to do the inside zone, which was too much. I had to cut it down a little bit. But what that does for them is some guys, they just can't look at a playbook and learn. So they can take that audio playbook and we can put it on their iPads, put it on their laptops. You can have it set to where it can't be transferred or copied or sent to anyone. And they can really sit there like they're sitting in a meeting. They're sitting in a meeting and they're hearing everything that I want from them, every little detail. And the expectation for our guys is the first 4 days of install should be mastered before we even start spring practice, which will be the next area for us. When we start spring ball, it's not about teaching the plays at that point. They should already have those first 4 days mastered. So that's something, if you haven't done that, that's been a great tool for us. Centers. This has been big for us. So we've had, like I talked about, a horrific year last year. I've lost 3 centers. I don't think you can have enough centers, especially in the offenses where we're shotgun 98% of the time. And that's a skill because we're asking our centers to pull. We're asking them to do all kinds of different pass sets. We're blocking back, all the things that centers do. They got to be athletes, but they got to be able to snap that ball. All the RPOs that we're doing, if that snap's not on the money, it creates timing issues. So being a shotgun center 98% of the time is a real skill set. So what we do with our centers is I'll take 8 or 9 guys in the room, and they'll all have to snap year-round. Centers and guards, 8 or 9 of them snapping year-round. Some of those guys may never snap a ball while they're there, but they're training to do it year-round. I feel like I can't have enough centers. So we'll take them. A lot of times my graduate assistant, Gerard, here, he'll work with them, and we just talk about basic stance, your base, your sinking your hips, the ball placement and grip. For me, what's more comfortable for them? Some guys grip it a little different, like their thumb on the laces, some like their fingertips. Okay, I've worked on that claw snap a little bit. I haven't fully bought into that. But if I have a guy that's comfortable with it, I'd be fine with it. But just trying to find their comfort zone, and we have them snapping year-round. And it's daily. So they got to go in the locker room to go out in the field and continuously work on snapping. So like we said, we'll have 8 or 9 guys that'll be snapping. We talk about bringing their elbow to the thigh, the pinky to the butt. Okay, we're talking about, we do some snapping in the mirror so they can see it. We're snapping and tapping a wall, and then we work on all the snaps versus all the different skills they have to have. Okay, so now we get into pre-spring ball. So we've gone through all the meeting, they got all the expectations, so now we move forward. And the big thing here that we're trying to work on, that's still not working, okay, is when you look at this, how do we keep them responsible for learning the install? A lot of guys are going to tell you they're watching the film and watching the video, and you can check it, but are they mastering it, right? So what we do with our guys is they come in and we start the cycle. For this week, they're going to just study day 1 install. They want to master day 1 install that week. So throughout that week, they're going to go in and study that film, that audio playbook, that video playbook, and then on Friday they come in, and again, they come in when they're free. So we'll have the test available with either myself or Gerard or our GA, and they'll come in and they'll take a test. And that's something that we've done more. We've always given tests during the season. I haven't always tested the guys in the off season. We've probably been doing that the last 4 years, and it's been really good because you really start to see the guys that are really grasping the concepts and the guys that are struggling. So they'll spend that week going through, then day one, they'll take the test. Next week, it's all about day 2. Again, we try to keep our 4-day install as close to the same as we can year in and year out. We're going to have some tweaks and some changes here and there, but our base fundamentals, the plays we believe in, are going to be in those first 4 days. And as I'm showing through here, we're going into day 3 and day 4. Okay, so it's a 4-week cycle, trying to master the first 4 days of install. The other thing we do with our guys is Wednesdays is kind of their day off, and we do yoga with our team, but I make the yoga mandatory for the offensive linemen. All the old linemen have to be there, and our strength coaches also have a flexibility circuit in the weight room, which is optional, but they need to be there for that. One other thing that you see as you're looking at this calendar, the Blue Dawn, that's kind of the old mat drills and stuff that we do. So that's where you get them out there and they're doing the different stations. And then at the end of that, we can't have any pads out there, or we can't have a ball, but we still can do some of our fundamentals there, so we kind of steal some time there as well. So as we go through that four-week cycle, and I want to get back to the testing part of it. So the other thing that we do is when we test them, okay, then we go ahead and day 1 install, here's their test. So we list what they got on their test. So there's peer pressure. It's listed and it's posted in the meeting room. Okay, so you're not hiding anywhere. So everybody in that room, your old lineman buddies know this guy right here scored a 63. Okay, my man Gerard put together this little scale right here, right? You're scoring 95 to 100, we can trust you. All right, you're 86 to 94, it's solid, and moving on down, you're not ready. So again, we're holding guys accountable, and they can't go in there and BS with it. It's detailed, and they got to do a good job with it. And again, there's nothing better than that peer pressure and the guys knowing, hey, you need to pick it up and get this thing mastered. And just giving some examples, the test is nothing real exotic. We'll do some different things. This one right here, just naming the defenses. Name the defenses, name the blitzes, and then we'll have a protection and you'll have your rules. You can move forward from there. We'll give them a picture shot of a front, okay? And then you got to talk through your techniques, talk through your assignments, and for these 2 plays here at the bottom. Another example, right, we can just give an old school drawing up here and give them a play, and again, they got to draw their tracks and their assignments, so we kind of change it up. My man Gerard here, he likes to put some kind of bonus question at the bottom. What do cows drink? So the thing that was sad is most of the guys put milk on it. So that was the part that got me. So maybe you don't want to put those on there because they'll scare the shit out of you. So then after we get through this 4-week cycle, and again, for us college guys, we're coming off the road and we're starting to integrate with those meetings. We get 2 hours a week. That week before spring ball, we kind of review all 4 weeks, right? So now I'm in there with them, and we're just kind of going through all the details so that when spring ball starts out, that first day of spring ball right here, we're ready to go. There's no excuses. They should have all their assignments mastered. At this point, we're working on getting better technically, right? And then we're also figuring out any new fronts or different things our defense is doing. Okay, get to spring ball. So this is pretty generic spring ball calendar. We're in practicing. We're not doing any extra stuff there. The one thing I liked about spring ball, if you have the luxury to do this with your head coaches, is we just go 3 times a week. We go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and having those days off in between are invaluable. Okay, I've been in spring balls where I've had back-to-back days, and that's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to watch the film and then to get things installed. So just being able to go 3 days a week, always having at least 1 day off in between, so you really can take your time to look at the film and teach off of it and be able to have the time to install. You're getting a minimum of 2 meetings before the next practice, which has been really good to us. For you college guys, I'll just put this out here real quick, is we do a thing where we call invite the professor to practice, okay? And that's one of the greatest things we've done, because we get about 60 to 100 professors that come out to practice. They have no damn idea what we're doing. They think football players show up at noon, go to practice, and go home. So when these professors are out there watching all the things these guys got to do at practice, and then I'm already kind of tough on them, but I'll be even tougher on them. I'll be dog cussing them, getting after them in front of those professors so they'll feel sorry for them, and maybe they'll help them out in the classroom. So that's the one goal you're trying to get accomplished. But they'll be out there watching these kids, and they'll understand, man, it's like a full-time job. These guys got a lot on their plate, and then they'll come in and eat dinner with us afterwards, and you build relationships with those guys. So you guys, whether it could be high school teachers, college, having those professors come out, that's been a real good thing for us as well. Okay, we've gone through spring ball, and at the end of spring ball, we have a post-spring evaluation. And that's the time where I'll fill out some sheets, and I'll show you that, and I sit down one-on-one with my guys and really tell them what I think about them, okay? And being honest. A lot of people nowadays don't like to hear the truth and really tell them what they're not good at or what they need to get better at, where they're at on the depth chart, and really show them what they need to do to be able to get themselves in position to be that guy that's going to get on the field over the summer. So going into that, this will actually happen before this. This is something, we had a group called The Program that came out and worked with our team. It's a military-based group, and it's about building leadership. It's been phenomenal for us. And so this is one thing they've done, is we'll go into each position room. The O-line will rank their teammates. So they'll rank them 1 through whatever. You got 18 guys in the room. They rank them. And then what they do is the top 3 guys, they got to give the reason why they named them the top 3. And then the bottom 3, they got to give the reason. And we're talking about what's a great teammate. So a great teammate's the guy that shows up early every day ready to work. He's prepared. He busts his ass to practice in the weight room. He's doing the things you're supposed to do to be a great player and then some. So that's a great teammate. So when we get the results, I'll tally it up. And when those guys come in and we meet, I'll point out to those guys that are in the bottom 3, that you're in the bottom 3. And they don't like to hear that. But it's good for them because sometimes people don't have a sense of what they really are. They think they're doing enough, they think they're doing right, but they're really not. So just being able to be honest with these guys, and these guys, this program, they do this in the military, they've done it with corporations. Any team, any program can do this, and it's been some really good feedback. Really good feedback. They had us do it as a coaching staff. We were sitting at a table, and we had to do it. We didn't write the shit on paper. We had to go around the room and tell each coach in the room what we thought he did good and what he didn't do, which got a little dicey when you got to the head coach. So you had to be careful when you went to the negative part with him. But it was a good tool for us. I mean, it's hard sometimes for you to hear the things that people think you need to work on or get better at. So it's good for people to continuously hear these things. The next part of it, I know this is kind of blurry. So we have this grid right here, and we're looking at these guys, and basically we're ranking them 1 through 5, with 5 being great, All-American, the best, 1 being poor. And so we'll go through in the personal, so we'll talk about people, character, attitude, discipline, academics. Then we'll go into the strength and development, your speed, athletic ability, and then you'll talk about your toughness, your durability, your contact, your effort, your blocking ability and spring, and then kind of how you are as a team player. And so I go through that and I rate each guy. And so again, we sit down and we go through each one and I tell them why I rated them that. And again, it's hard for them to hear when you're ranking them 1 or 2 in something. But again, they need to hear that. Yeah, they hear you ripping their ass on the field at times, but when you're sitting down and you're just talking, it's good for them to hear those things. And it's also good for them to hear the things that you really like, the things they're doing a great job with. So this just keeps some formative for us to make sure those guys are same page, that we're on the same page throughout the year. This will be in the back of the sheet. One thing here at the top is we set some goals for the summer. I think that's important. You set your goals, whatever weight you want them to be at. You set goals for us, power clean, bench press, squat, vertical jump. And so these are some things that they are expected to meet by the end of the summer. Of course, we get together with our strength coaches, and we put those goals together, and they have something to strive for all summer. Okay? Then they got a section to fill out. They talk about the goals and purpose they had in the spring. Did they achieve them? Okay? It talks about what do they have to do between now and August for us to win a championship. So they have to put thought into this before they come into the meeting with me. They have this filled out already. Okay? Interesting here, we'll ask them who their best friends on the team. It's kind of interesting to see the guys that they hang out with, right? And you may take from that some guys that maybe there's a reason he's struggling with this. Sometimes you find out some of these kids, especially the freshmen, when they don't have too many friends up there, they start getting that look on their eyes like they're ready to go home. You need to figure out what's going on in their life and try to help them out there as well. And again, we can go down this whole thing right here, and again, for goals and what does being a Tar Heel mean to you? And here's even a good question here: what can Coach Fedora, our head coach, what can he do to help us? I think that's good there. Give a little feedback. Sometimes the head coach doesn't get to touch every player. You know, we obviously have our hands on in our room with our guys, but you get some good feedback from the kids if they're really relating well with the head coach or they feel like there's some things that they need to be better. Okay, this is the last part of this. This is something that we started doing about 8 years ago when we were back at Southern Miss. And again, this was a military-based thing, and when we first brought it to the table, I wasn't really sure about it. I wasn't sure this was a good thing. But since we've done it, I really have liked it. We got a lot of guys, a lot of the staffs that come through our place, they've adopted it. There's a lot of the high schools and different colleges. So we got to give our guys a level of commitment. There's 4 phases of the program. So after spring ball, I'm the one giving them the level of commitment. After the summer, our strength coaches will. After fall camp, before the season starts, I will. And then after winter conditioning, our strength coaches will. So there's 4 quarters to the season. So again, it's another way of me giving them feedback of where I see them. What we do with this is it goes right next to their name in the locker room. Okay, so you'll have your name, C Kapilovic, and you're the compliant, committed, compelled, or God forbid you're existent or below. That thing's sitting there, again, for all your teammates to see. This is what the staff or the strength coaches think of you, and usually it's not a surprise. The teammates know more about them than we do, okay? The other thing is you got pro scouts coming in, right? So if you have some pride about yourself, we have some scouts coming in and asking, well, why is Johnny only compliant? So you have to answer that. You got parents, you got recruits coming in, and again, it's just another way of holding them accountable and having pride in themselves to get themselves to a high level. You know, a compliant kid in the middle there, he does what he's supposed to do. There's nothing wrong with that, but he's not doing extra. We're trying to push these guys to be committed and compelled, to go the extra mile and do extra. So they're rated on this. Coach Fedora believes in this, and I think it's been really good that they need to know on a consistent basis throughout the year where they stand in the program and what the coaches that are working with them, what they think of them. And so like I said, it's been real positive for us as well. Again, in the spring ball, it's academic focus the last 2 weeks. They got some voluntary lists, but the big thing there is focusing on finishing up their academics. Okay, then we get into summer school. So for us, we start summer really early. May 7th, we started summer session 1 for us, okay? So that's just our guys. That's not our newcomers. They're not there yet. Most of the kids aren't graduating from high school till the end of May or early June. So they get in there, and it starts over, okay? Begin day 1 install. So the cycle starts. So if we made any adjustments in spring, I'll change the voiceovers, make some movements, and we're back to that 4-day install cycle. So they start right in there, day 1. And again, they're going to take a test. We change the test up on them and making sure the test isn't real long. It's just hitting on all the key points for your install. Again, they're getting in the weight room, okay? We think it's important for them to get in the meeting room on their own, to study film, and the older guys are running the meetings. Of course, on their own time, they're taking advantage of the audio playbook that we talked about. Again, yoga's still going. Talk through here. Now, summer challenge, I'm not going to talk a long time about that, but this is something that's just more of a team thing. We have a draft at the end of the spring, and we have 8 teams, and it's kids with all positions, and all they do, they're held accountable for points, right? Being late to class, they lose points or something like, parking tickets, all that crap, but they do like non-football activities. They'll do bowling, they'll do home run derby, they do dodgeball, and the winning team plays against the coaches, so they really love that anytime they got a chance to take us out. And at the end of the year, we got paintball. So the paintball winning team gets to play against the coaches. And again, it's another situation that they really enjoy that. It seems that every year when we say we're shot, they don't stop firing. They keep taking the extra shot. But they enjoy it. Anytime they can compete with us, they love that. Going in here, we got the championship workouts. That's an important part of what we do. I know everybody does it. That's when they practice on their own. So the offense is out there, the defense is out there, right? We're doing for us. It's individual work, and then they're working into 7-on with the skill guys. The O-line will do what we call drives, so tight ends and running backs and quarterback will come down with them, and they're running plays versus defenses. We have a blitz pickup period that they'll do, and then when we get into the second session, 1 day a week, they'll do team versus the defense. So this is those 2 days a week where they'll do the championship workouts where they're practicing twice a week, which is, again, good for developing leadership and building camaraderie and keeping all this day 1, day 2, day 3, 4 install competent in their heads. Now, when we get to this part, the championship workouts, we've made it real easy for them. So you get your basic face, and they pick it up, and they already know what drills they're going to do, what drives and plays they're going to do, all that good stuff, okay? And then how we have it set up is, so right here is an example for the O-line. Okay, that day they're going to spend 5 minutes of drill. They're going to work 15 minutes of pass, 15 minutes of run. And then what we do is we have all these drills in the system. So they can go in the day before and kind of look at these drills. Because you know, some of these drills you may have done a couple times during spring. You may have only got there once. Some of it's your everyday drills, and they know it inside and out. But that's good for some of those young guys to be able to see those drills and see what we're trying to get accomplished. So I can give you an example of that. So right here is 6-point. So that's your basic, 6-point, bringing your hips, tight elbows, thumbs up. And then we have scoop, which we're working on backside cutoffs. And then we have a med ball set. So as we put it up here, it has the rules for them. Okay, so we got different ways of doing pass sets with med balls. We got a ball on the ground. They're working on sinking their hips and grabbing that ball, and when they throw it, simulating a punch and bringing their hips under them. So we talk through the rules for them, and then we'll give them an example, okay? So they sit here, like as I watch this one here, I like to see Charlie sink his hips more and then bend right there, and then just work on throwing and bringing his hips, and then working the two-hand pass set. So we'll work some two-hand pass sets with med balls for eye-hand coordination. We'll work a lot of independent hand pass sets at other times as well. But this is just an example. So the drill they're going to do that day, they got the film and how to do it. So when they go out there, the older guys should already know it, but it's good for them just to refresh and make sure we're all on the same page. So you go to your 6-point explosion. I know most people already do that. Talks through the rules there. You get a guy on all fours. He's trying to punch, tight elbows, thumbs, bring his hips. So they get a good example of that. That's one that's pretty easy. They knew that. When we go to our scoop drill, okay, our scoop drill is working backside cutoffs, backside scoops, and we use a towel, and I'll show you that here in a second. So it talks through the rules, all right, about them stepping over the towel and bringing a second step through the crotch, and it just really in detail for them as you go through there, and we pick it up here. So what we're doing here is we always use a towel, and we use that towel for them to be able to take those steps. Because one of the things that our guys have the biggest problem, as I've gone through my coaching career, is a lot of false steps. On reaches, on scoops, you always see them, they take that false step. They step under themselves, they step behind themselves. So we use this towel to make sure they're stepping over it and taking great first step. And we're always talking through, when we're watching film, and you had the backside tackle, had to scoop the 3 technique. The first thing is he don't get that block accomplished. 9 times out of 10, he didn't step over the towel. He didn't get that great first step. So we're sitting here, we're watching, and as they scoop through, the thing we're looking for is trying to keep their pads down, but on that 3rd step, they're ripping that hand through that shield, and they want that shield to go vertical. So by going vertical, that means I got my hat across that far thigh board and was able to rip my hand through the crotch. If I hit that bag and it goes on a 45-degree angle, that means I didn't get my head across. That means I got my head to the backside thigh board, and I'm not going to get them cut off. So that's pretty simple there. So then the thing that we started doing, we do a lot of tempo. We're not all tempo, but the thing I've started doing as years going on, maybe it just took me a while to do it, maybe some of you guys are already doing this, is we started comboing drills. So we're always, you run a play, you're getting set and you're going, right? You got to go fast, you got to get your stance quickly, you got to do all those things, you're going tempo. So we'll take we took the 6-point, and we'll go 6-point to scoop. So just making some of our drills, combination drills. We're doing 2 drills in 1. So we're sitting here, we're getting a 6-point, then they got to get set quickly, and then they go ahead and get their feet set, and I'll set them, and then they'll work the scoop drill. So just trying, with some of your drills, your everyday drills you do, just think about where they might have to put 2 of them together, and that's been good for them as well. Coming back here, again, with just another med ball punch, just another day, and then we're talking through some inside zone work. So now we've got a med ball punch in a pod with 3 people. Again, talks through the rules, and I'm not going to read it all to you right there. Again, we're looking for the punch from the hip and getting the head back, right? That's Charlie Heck. That's Andy Heck's son right there. For you guys that know Andy right here, he's going to be a really good player for us. So again, we're just working the kicks, the punch, and working back and forth. So again, trying to keep our hips down. There's RJ, he just signed with the Steelers. Okay, and we're just working guys, getting their feet and their hips down. So again, this is a combination of them learning the drills and being ready to go when they go out there. We go out and we're working underneath the chutes. We're doing muscle memory with steps. So we're going jab and giving them a jab call, and they're resetting their feet and then go. And then they're coming off the ball, working underneath the chutes, bringing our hands underneath and working the lift. Then we get the angles on the board. And again, talking through the rules there. So we get them on an angle. We call it a tight read for us, 2 inches downhill, trying to get the play side foot, outside the play side foot, backside foot, play side of the backside foot, and get my hat across the midline. So again, we can work that. We can jab it once, we can jab it twice, and then from there we'll work the progression. Going right, left. We can do it with the chutes. We can do it without the chutes. And again, just working all the techniques. Got some young guys here. We got the good, the bad, the ugly in here. So again, just trying to keep those tight elbows, trying to work those hands underneath, and trying to finish with a lift. So here we go, another day, just an example of some drills. We got everyday drills with the combos on the right, and then we've got the set the spot mirror for pass. So this is another combination where we have 2 drills in one. So we like to really work on our guys getting in a good stance and really setting to a spot quickly. So whether we're working our 30-degree set, which is kind of vertical, working 45-degree, we're really working on trying to get them out of their stance, trying not to, the one thing you'll see is the guys rolling their weight. You'll see them rolling over their toes, really trying to force them to push off that post foot and kick out, and no wasted movement. So we're setting to a spot. So we'll have them set to a spot, run their feet, and then they'll sprint back and do it another time. Then we all do mirror drill, right? So what we did is comboed up, set the spot, and mirror drill, which tied in together. Obviously, you set to the spot, then you're going to have to block somebody and mirror it up. So that's what we're trying to get accomplished there. So we'll get them set to the spot, then we'll come back, set the spot again, and the guy will follow, and we'll work the mirror drill. And so we'll work the mirror drill, our hands behind our back. We'll work with our hands out, again, trying to sink their hips and get their shoulders back. Just working side to side. So again, just comboing those 2 drills. Sometimes we'll do them independently. We'll do set to spot, and then sometimes we'll just do mirror, and then we'll work them together. Okay, just talking through combos, and I probably have about 6-7 minutes here. All we're doing here is just working all our zone combos. So we got Landon there on the right side. He's with the Saints right now. Just working your inside zone combo to the G, working to the linebackers, right? Then we'll have it where we'll have guys moving the D linemen or the backers. And again, they'll do this stuff throughout the summer and with us. Working backside zone. Working that settle step vertical for the guard and the backside tackle. We call it angle bucket slide step, trying to push that thing vertical. Okay, so now we get into the summer session 2. So for you guys, they're here in college, or maybe even high school when you're young, maybe your young kids are coming over. The one thing that we do with our guys, this is when all our high school kids get here, it's been really important for us, is we assign a mentor. Okay, so when those kids come in, those young kids come in, we take one of our juniors and seniors, and they're in charge of that guy. So Gerard comes in as a freshman, I'm a junior senior, I'm going to be his mentor. Those guys, their responsibility is everything. Is making sure they understand how to use the video system, making sure they understand where to be at all times, any questions they have. They're both held accountable. One of those young guys is late to something or misses something, that older guy that's his mentor, he's going to pay the same price. So again, I think it's been invaluable to have that mentorship, having those older guys showing those young guys around and showing the ropes, taking those young guys and really making them feel a part of the group. We spend a lot of time in the summer making sure our O-line is doing things outside of football. Making sure they're building that, they got to be the tightest group in the room, in the building. And so they go to a water park together, which is funny as hell to see. They may go out and eat and kill a buffet. They went to a Durham Bulls game. They're just doing things together to make sure they build that relationship. It's called the men. That's something we'll move on from that. So again, as the only thing we're showing here with the session 2 of summer school, we're going through the same cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, they're keeping on that cycle, and we're pounding that first 4 days of install to them year round. year-round. They should never have a time where they don't know what to do, what's expected of them. We got the championship workouts still going. We still got the summer challenge still going, all right? And again, we have leadership meetings. And again, this seems like a lot, but we're conscious of them having time, okay? It's not a long time. Those championship workouts are 50 minutes to an hour, okay? The great thing about the audio playbook is they can be doing it at their house. They can study it anywhere they want because it could be on their iPads or laptops that we talked about. So we're trying to be conscious of their time, but they do have to stay engaged. Now you've got the newcomers that come in, so now it's important whether it's me or Gerard in those 2 hours a week or our older guys, teaching them everything from the first step. How do we ID fronts? There's so many things those young kids don't know that you don't have time once you get into camp to just go over everything with them, every detail. So making sure we're showing that and teaching them what we call things, what we call techniques, what the holes are, what we're calling blitzes. So again, with the blitzes, we'll take the blitzes and what we ID them as, and then we'll go ahead and we'll show them a copy of it on film. So for us right here, this is a Steeler or a Wheeler blitz, and we're showing them how we're picking it up. We're manning up the tackle, and if guard's going to be the man that's going to pop for the Mike backer, so they're learning the blitzes and how to pick it up, and they got a chance to look at that. Again, old crossfire, pretty basic, but again, we're putting this together. Russ Bodine's been our center there. He was four-year starter for the Bengals, just signed with the Bills. So again, working on this and so they can see it and understand what the blitzes are and how we're picking it up. So all this is available to them to study, and again, we want those mentors teaching them that. Stunts, what do we call our stunts and movements? So we're watching film, we're talking, and we're saying, oh, it's a spike, that's a reach technique, a tag, all the different things we call things, then they got a chance to really learn it in the summer and learn it with the guys, what we call different twists. You know, then we show them the twist on video. So different kinds of twists, how we're picking them up. Right here, you're getting twist on both sides. We're working the ET game, right? TE game. Just trying to find good film, good pickups, forming good pockets so they're understanding the whole scheme. Once we get through that summer, again, we expect all those freshmen, they'll be doing the tests like we talked about, and when we get into camp, we're expecting them to understand the first 4 days of install. All right? Some of the base things, the breakdowns, we get them detailed blitz reports. Okay, we'll draw up all the blitzes we're going to get from our opponents. We'll draw up a run game for them, 5 minutes. Okay, the other thing I think is important in here, I know I'm buzzing through some of this fast, some of that stuff's pretty simple for everybody. Opponent film study, that's something that, you know, when you're telling your guys to study film of your opponent, a lot of them just want to sit there and they're watching the film. They don't really understand what they're studying. So I think it's important to have something on paper that tells them what they need to study. Okay? They got to tell me what games and cut-ups they've watched. They got to tell me who are the guys that they're going against. What's their money pass rush move? What are they doing in critical situations? What are the base fronts of the team? When we come into that meeting on Tuesday, that's our first meeting, they're going to have notes on the board for me. They're going to have things on there that are tendencies for the D-line. So just, again, continuously forcing them to be accountable. When we go over the scouting report on Tuesday, I have the O-line present the scouting report to me. So I'll say, okay, tackle, talk to me. I want him to tell me everything he can about that DN. So I don't want to have to tell him that I'll add what I need to add. But again, it's forcing them to study that film on Sunday and Monday. So when they come in on Tuesday, they already know what to expect for practice. They already know what they're going to get. Like we said, we draw up the whole run game for them. So all of our runs we're going to carry into the game against all their fronts. And then one of the last things we do there is for our test. I've had all kinds of different tests I've done for my guys on game week. The one thing we like to do is we like to use the pictures. So we'll have pictures of the different fronts they're going to be in. And in that box on the left, we'll have the plays we're carrying out of that formation. And then I'll put down the different plays that we're going to actually call and run in that game. And then they got to talk through their assignments, right? So it's not just I'm blocking 56. They're going to tell me their technique, their footwork, their calls, all the communication that's involved. And I used to do my tests on game week with just the basic, you know, your circles and X's and O's and all that good stuff. But I found the pictures have been really good for them to see those guys where they're lined up and for them to use that for the test. And obviously at the end here is just your typical grade sheet. We grade our guys every game like everybody does. The one thing we keep track of is we keep track of how many knockdowns and cuts that they have. They love that. We have a board with that. We give them a big chain, the guy that has the most knockdowns, cuts, finishes in a game. We have that on the board, and we give them the chain, and then we have the hammer. That's for the guy that grades out the highest for the game. The last thing here is we do keep track of loafs. So we got guys loafs, we keep track of that. On Sundays after a game week, we circle up the offense, and we hold them responsible for the loafs. So we'll circle up, we'll call you in. Gerard James will come running in. Gerard James, he had 2 loafs. My name's Gerard James. I'll let the team down 2 times. Everybody on the offense gets their feet moving, and we do 2 up downs, and they sprint out. First time we ever get to somewhere and we do that, I can remember every first scrimmage, there'd be 100 to 120 loafs in a scrimmage. It'd be crazy. It'd be brutal. Probably too much for the big guys. But they learn and understand what your expectations are, and then by the end of that spring, or when you get into season, we'll only have 18 to 24 loafs in a game. We're talking every position. So each guy gets called out. He talks, hey, I let the team down 2 times, or I let the team down 0 times, they get 2 claps, and we get moving. So again, just all the little details, and we don't let any stone go unturned and keep them responsible. So 40 minutes, I know some of this stuff's redundant, but hopefully something in there that we went over is something you can use in the off season. I counted up, I think there's, like I said, about 20 weeks where your guys are without you, and I think there's a lot of things that could be accomplished during that time if you have a plan for them. If it's on paper for them, they understand how to execute it, the older guys, and I've seen a big difference with my guys, just being accountable, understanding the schemes, and being prepared when they come out for practice. I appreciate your time.
Coach, thank you very much for asking me to be part of this. I'm honored. When Coach was talking, I did a little quick Rolodex in my mind. First one I came to, I think, was 94. So, cool clinic. So I'm very honored to be here. In all honesty, guys, when Coach sent me the email asking me to do this, I looked at it, I said, nope, not going to do it. I want to know parts of it because this is the best of the best. But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? It's an opportunity to maybe give something back a little bit for all that I've taken. So I'm honored to be here. One of the things, the big thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the power and counter read series a little bit from an O-line perspective. One thing I always try and do every time I am asked to speak at a clinic is I try and find something that maybe will fit, because not everybody in here is going to be a gun team, run the power read, the counter read. But the one thing I've learned in my 2 years of being at Penn State, not being a coordinator and an O-line coach, is on May 18th, you may not think you're running it, but on September 14th, you may have to. So hopefully there's some things in here that'll help you guys. One of the things that's important, I'm going to buzz through this. My head coach, this is a big thing with him. So if any of you, he asked any of you, I went through this, but this is just what we are. I want to get down to the important stuff. So one of the things I want to talk about is why we do the power read and the counter read. We're a gun team. 2 years ago when I got to Penn State, that was a very new phenomenon for me. I'm going to show you a little visual of that. Back in my time when I was at Minnesota, Northern Illinois, Southern Illinois, we were a 22, 21 personnel, sometimes 23, 13, 32 type of team. So to become a gun team was, or a gun offensive line coach was a little bit of an adjustment for me. But one of the things that we talked about was it's very hard, in my opinion, for teams that are spread teams, 3 receiver, 4 receiver, tight end off the ball teams, to find ways to have perimeter runs. So one of the big things is why we do the power read and the counter read is an effective way to get the ball in the perimeter in space without having to set the edge. I know a lot of guys in here are probably pin and pull guys. I had been a pin and pull guy. You get into 2 tight ends, you find the C gap player, you block them down, you pull, you get the ball on the edge. We don't even have 2 tight ends in the game at the same time ever. So that wasn't a possibility. Teams weren't giving us the option to do that. You can only throw a swing pass so many times and call it a perimeter run. So we had to find things that were going to help us get that ball to the edge. Now, with that being said, I don't consider power read and counter read an outside play. I consider it quarterback power. Everything I talk to my guys about, and I'll show you this as we go, is we deal with power read and counter read as a quarterback run play. I don't care what happens on the perimeter. I don't care if Johnny didn't crack block and Joey didn't loop block. I don't care about those receivers. I care about what happens inside, and I'm going to show you that. One of the things that we talk about, and I never thought about until I got to Penn State, was when you talk about looking at a defense and evaluating defensive personnel, the one guy that kind of always is the 11th guy you talk about or is the guy that doesn't really come up much is the field backer. Some people call him a Sam, a spur, a stud, whatever you want to call him. Basically, he's not athletic enough to be a safety, and he's not physical enough to be an inside backer, so they kind of find a spot out there to the field for him. We feel like that's a guy that we want to take advantage of when we're going to the field. So that's one of the big reasons why power read and counter read, especially when we go to the field, we feel good about it. The other thing is I am a physical guy. I like the idea of being physical, playing a physical game. Like I said, a lot of power. This gives us a chance to have that, but at the same time, we don't have a fullback. We don't have the kind of tight end that you're going to want to run a lot of this with. So we got to make those adjustments. That's where the read part comes in. The extra that I really like is the defined entry point for the quarterback. I know teams will run it. We call it sucker, where when the back's coming through and the quarterback's reading the backside end, or it's a receiver coming through, and then all of a sudden everybody's zoning the other way. The linemen are zoning. We have a hard enough time getting our backs to figure out where to fit on inside zone or on a zone play, let alone a quarterback who's reading a defensive end and then's got to try and find a point of entry on zone. So we really like the idea. I do as an offensive line coach, the defined entry point. The rest of this is just kind of the big thing is we do run the power read and the counter read to make sure we keep defenses honest. I wanted to show you this real quick. You know, this was who I used to be, and this is why it was so hard with the adjustment. If you look at that, now this isn't 3rd and inches. This isn't 4th and 1 on our side of the 50. This is 2nd down and 5. And this is what, when I was a coordinator, this is what we used to be. That's a lot of bodies in there. All right, I'll do the math for you. That's 20 bodies inside. So when we would run power, one of the things is we'd come up, we'd run power, we'd do all this, and it never seemed to quite work out the way you wanted it. Guys weren't fitting on the right people, a lot of bodies in there. What's nice about what we do now with the counter read and the power read is, you know, right off the bat, you look at this box right here. It's a lot more O-line friendly, and I'm going to get to talking about this play in a minute when we get into it. But you can see right here, you don't have to be perfect on those things in their space, and that's what I really like about this play. That's what I like about this series. It doesn't have to be an edge play all the time. It can be. It can be an outside play. It doesn't have to be. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You guys all know how to block the gap scheme, but the thing I want to talk about is some of the things I've learned over the last couple years that maybe make it a little better from an O-line standpoint. First thing I'm going to talk about is the counter read. The way we define it is if we talk about counter read, we always talk about who the second puller would be blocking. So in this case, obviously, or I shouldn't say the second puller, but the fullback tight end type of player, not the guard. So in this case, we're going to be reading the linebacker. So it's real important. A couple things for us on the counter read that's very important is our pulling guard. He's going to be blocking the defensive end, so he's going to straight pull. And the key I tell him when he straight pulls is he's basically trapping a first-level defender. I tell him, and this is the only time I really talk about it, I talk to that guard on his pull of getting as tight as he can, and I want him putting his face mask right in the numbers of that defensive end. So no matter where that defensive end goes, if he squeezes, it's going to become a natural pin or a natural log. If he's up the field, it'll naturally take the guard to that point to be able to kick him out. I never want to predetermine that. Never want to predetermine it, so I tell that guard when he pulls, put your face mask on the numbers, and that'll define it. Let the defender decide if he wants to be pinned or kicked out. You don't make that decision. So that's one thing that's real important on this play. Backside or the play side combo, because the guard's blocking a first-level defender, all right, we've got to block the backside linebacker even on an overrun. And this is a little thing, and this was something that I realized a couple years ago. I'm going to go back here real quick and just show you something. I learned from talking to my guys and looking at it. You know, if you talk about a combo here, you know, a power combo, a gaps combo, and you draw that line and you put that line back to that backside backer, what are you guys thinking they have to do? They think they have to work back and they have to pin that backside linebacker backside. Because where's that play going? That play's going front side. So their mentality, especially the young kids who don't know any better, they think at all costs they got to pin that linebacker backside. What I've learned over time on the power read and the counter read is you don't have to do that. The thing you do have to do is put a body on that on that linebacker. Even if he runs over the top, I'm fine with that. The thing I want to make sure is he doesn't run underneath. So instead of having that line drawn where it looks like he's pinning him, and that's what your kid's mentality is, because we ask them to look at the playbook, we send it to them in the offseason, in the summer, and they're thinking, man, we got to pin that backer. That's not the case. What I want is I want a body on that backer, and I'll show you why here in a second. So that's really important. Even if that backer's going to run over the top, we want to put a body on him, and I don't care if we run him to the front sideline, but we want to make sure we have a body on him. The issues, as with anything, it's not perfect. No plays are. You get an end that runs up the field, and the play side linebacker sits. So you got to have an answer for that. I'll show you a little bit about what we do there. But basically, just want to show you, this was the play I just showed. You know, we're going to run counter read. We're going to read the front side linebacker. It's really important. The reason I put this play on first is if you watch the front side tackle and the backside linebacker, all right, we're going to run this play to our right. All right, we're going to work down. This backer or this tackle is going to secure it. And the thing about it is he does have a little bit more time, and he does have the ability to make sure that gets secured before he climbs, because it's not an idea of pin. The one thing I'll tell that backside tackle is the one area that you cannot let happen is you cannot get beat underneath. And just so you guys know, if you happen to run this, or like I said, your coordinator decides one day that he wants to do this, the thing that you've got to understand is whether that ball's given or not, you've got to evaluate this as quarterback run all the time. So you got to look at it, whether the ball's given or not, would we have had a successful play, minus the read, obviously, if the quarterback kept the football. So like right here, one of the big keys is you watch this tackle, all right? This is fine right here. He just stays on it, quarterback reads it. And one of the things you'll find is that backer, if he's going to make the play, let's say we gave that football, what you'll find out is if that backer's making the play, it's at 8, 10, 12, 14 yards, I'm fine with that. Where I don't want that backer making a play is coming underneath the tackle and the quarterback keeps it for gain of 1. So right here, tackle stays tight, backer over the top. The other part of this that's different in my opinion than power, or it's more significant than in basic power, because I guess I should back up a little bit. When we started running this quite a bit at Penn State, I just fell back on my power rules and my power thought from when I had run it as an I team and everything. One of the big things is this ball cuts back an awful lot. A lot of times, C gap power, even the gap scheme, it would hit off tackle or it'd hit downhill. But until it got to the second level, it wouldn't cut back. Because the quarterback's in the backfield, when he gets that ball, when he reads it, he starts cutting back sooner. There's got to be a great amount of pride on the backside of these guys hanging in on their blocks, because more often than not, our big plays on this came with the quarterback taking it out the backside. So rather than just saying, hey, on your sift back here, just make sure that guy doesn't go and blow something up, kind of keep him wide. We really work on being aggressive back there. This has got to be a huge part of the equation right there. And then, of course, it always helps. These guys seem to be in the way most of the time. Occasionally, it works in our favor right there. All right? I won't argue with that for a change. All right? But the point being is a couple things is I'm going to evaluate every play on does the quarterback have a chance to gain yards if he pulls that ball minus the read. Here he does. That guard's going to pull. He needs to run right through it. I don't like how soft he was on this one. This one was fairly early in the game. There's one later. I'll show you the power of either A, positive reinforcement, or B, chewing a kid's ass on the sideline, because later in the ball game he got after it and helped us have another big play. So the main points on that is there's got to be a tremendous amount of pride blocking the backside, because a lot of times if the quarterback keeps it, he's going to go the backside. And the other part of it is that tackle doesn't have to get that backer pinned backside. He's got to make sure that backer rolls over the top, and then he can adjust on it. All right, I think this was the one. It's later in the game now. All right, they go to a stack look. So now, is this the one here? All right, this is the one. I got after him. I said, hey, you got to run through that. The old be the hammer, not the nail. Kid said, hey, screw Limegrover. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to show him I can do this, because it wasn't very pretty off that last one. All right, so he got after it. The key here, though, is, once again, we're reading that backer. He runs out of there. Quarterback sees it. This is really good patience by that tackle. Now, if I'm that backer, the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to dive underneath on that. Tackle's in great position. He's square. It's over the top. Once again, on the back side. All right, not thrilled with where his helmet placement is. Keep it inside out. But the thing I like about this is this tackle fights his tail end off, stays on it, gives the quarterback a chance to come out backside. All right, it allows these guys to play physical. All right, we're handing the football now. Like I said, this was our way to get the ball on the edge. But oftentimes it may not even get out there, and I'm fine with that as long as we're blocking it for quarterback power. All right. I apologize. These just all happened to be against Michigan, but these are some good plays. Little way we had a pretty good back. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him, so we wanted to find as many ways as we could to get him the football. All right. So basically, it's just the same football play. We didn't give him the ability to read it, though. We just said keep it in your hands. And once again, the reason I put this on here is this was really a really good job, I thought, by the tackle. Of course, the tackle's B-gap responsible on the gap scheme. This was great discipline by him. He said to himself, hey, it's not mine, keeps going, gets on the backer. This backer can't help himself, wants to go over there and make a play. The Bush kid's a great football player, aggressive player, had a good idea. He was going to try and get over the top of it. They all wanted to get down, try and make a play, and it opened up lanes for us. Guys stayed on it. I'm not going to say this is the best by the center. He had trouble getting his feet in the ground going backside, but he stayed with it, fought with it, and the thing came out the back door. So I've shown you 3 plays where I said this is our outside, this is the way we get the ball in the perimeter, and all three have been inside plays so far. But that's kind of the world we live in, and we're okay with that if that's what they give us. Same idea here now. This is an example with the end squeezing. We're still reading the backer. The end squeeze, this is what I was talking about. All right, guard, go ahead. Try and stick your face mask right in his chest. Now, he basically pins himself. He basically logs himself, comes around. Backside center here and guard. Now the combo goes down one. Too wide for us to combo the B-gap player. So now the combo goes back one. The guard's going to climb. Once again, force these over the top. Force it over the top. It gives that quarterback a chance to go out the back door on this. I think you guys all know that, all understand that. The big key here is the quarterback having the ability now, if he needs to give that thing, because that backer's out of the equation. I mean, we don't even have to put a body on him. He takes himself out of the equation, gives us a chance to get a good football play. This is similar now, similar type of deal. It's an odd look. So now our combos are going to go back. The key is keep it as tight as possible. Force them over the top. Get them out of their gaps, and let your quarterback go. I was laughing when I was looking at this the other day. You always know it's good when your cheerleaders, before the play really gets going, they start getting excited knowing that something good's happening. All right, so that's what you got there. End up the field, kicked it, stayed tight, worked it down, quarterback's running. So that's what we had. This one I put on here because this was a really good job. I think this backside backer wanted in the worst way to get back up underneath, but because of that tackle's course, forced it over the top. So we're still reading the front side backer, working our way back to the backside backer. This tackle stays tight. That backer now, the only choice he has is to go over the top. And that's just fine with us. All that tackle needs to do right there is get a piece of it. All right, get a piece of it. Now the quarterback can come out the back door. And now that safety's caught between a rock and a hard place. All right, got to keep his feet there. All right, so now here's one where we're reading the front side backer. If any of you guys have played against Iowa, they love to on pulls. Backside three sees it, rolls over the top. So we wanted to make sure the tackle stayed extra tight to seal it off. If anything, whether the quarterback kept it or the quarterback gave it, we're going to make the backside backer be a guy over the top to make a play. This is a great example here. We give that football, but I'm grading this as really poor by that guard, the pulling guard right here, because I'm always thinking the quarterback's giving it. I've shown you about 3 or 4 clips, keeping it, where the quarterback kept it every time. This is one where I don't care if this works outside. I could care less. We are blocking quarterback power inside. So I'm okay with what's going on. I like the wall we've created. Got a wall of blue jerseys sealing off the white. Backside backer stuck back in behind. But if you watch the guard right here, he tries to get cute. He is blocking. What's he doing? He's blocking for the outside play. And that's not what we want. He should run right through that. So if that quarterback pulls it, that quarterback's got that lane based on that backer. If the quarterback needs to give it, he's driving right through 96 right there. He gets a little cute. If the quarterback has to pull it, if for some reason that backer runs out of there, it's a dead play. So that's on us. That's where I don't care what they're doing on the edge. We got to make sure that we're blocking it as quarterback run every time, because we can't dictate the read, but the thing we can dictate is that quarterback keeps the football, that we're going to make sure we take care of business. All right, same idea now. This is a three-backer look. We knew in our ID they were going to bring a backer back in. He's the read. The reason I put this on here now is really bad. I didn't just I actually put a few good plays at the beginning, but this is where now the teaching comes in. This tackle, this isn't very good by him because he's going to block this as though the quarterback's going to keep the football. And right here, he gets a little bit too far up the field. Now look at what happens. There's an opening, and now that backside backer jumps back underneath. I don't like that. If anything, make that backside backer run over the top. That's something that's very important to us, because if that quarterback pulls the football, right here, all right, which obviously with what the front side backer does, it's a good read by him to give the football and get on the perimeter. But the point being is stay tight, stay tight, stay tight. And now if the quarterback pulls it now, he's up vertical on that thing. All right. Now, one of the things I talked about was if the ends are going to work up the field on you and the backer's going to hang and sit, that they kind of got you. Well, how do they do that? They see the back's away. They know the back's going to come flat through. They can tell their back and their end, hey, let's make sure that backer sits, end up the field with backer away. Well, one of the things we do is we'll go a swing action, get it out. It's no different for us. So once again, even though he's running out of there, when I'm looking at this play, I'm saying, hey, if the quarterback had to keep it, let's say 39 just blows gas out there. If the quarterback had to keep this, do we have a chance? Backside tackle went down a little bit too far, but if that quarterback goes, he's probably going to come back to him. I'd like to see have him take one step, give it a shot, and get out of there. But other than that, now the tackle's learned his lesson. He stays tight. Got a chance on that thing. A left guard's got to get his left hand down a little bit, but if that quarterback keeps that football, that's what I want to see. So that's how I'm grading those guys. That's how they hear about it. I could care less how that ball gets on the perimeter. I want to make sure the quarterback power part of it is good to go. All right. This is a good example. One of the early plays against Michigan, the right guard did a great job. Got his hands inside, was physical. Here he's a little lazy with his hands. Gets a good long arm by the Nebraska D lineman right here. Quarterback has nowhere to go. For me, even though this was an X plus yardage play, this is a poor play on our part. We need to be better at the point of attack. To me, the point of attack starts here, And then if it's all working hard over the top and we're being physical and it cuts back, so be it. Here, this is just the quarterback kind of being a guy. All right, the one thing I will say is he didn't give up on this play. Keep fighting on the backside. Gave this thing a chance to come out the back door. The other thing about it is it's hard for these guys to really hang in there. They're not sure what's going to happen with the read. They're not sure what's going to be the end result. The other thing I'd say on this is poor footwork initially, even though he squares up. Be patient. This defender, the backside backer, will not make a play if we get that ball out on the perimeter. And if he does, it's going to be in pursuit. It's not going to be for a 2-yard play or 1-yard play. So be under control. He wants to go over the top, let him. Right here, he jukes him a little bit. So even if we did a good job, I still don't think we're going to have a whole lot up inside because that backer's jumping back inside. Hey, front side tackle, stay tight, good job. Force it over the top. Go ahead and run it over the top now. Don't outthink yourself on it. Now, with that in mind, really good play. There are ways to take it away. If not, we'd run it every single time. So what happened was we said, you know what? If we're going to do that and the end's going to run up the field, the end's going to create problems, he's going to beat the guard to the mesh, those types of things. We needed to have answers. So we started talking about the power read concept with reading the end. Reading the end, now the guard was going to pull now, and we had him pulling for that front side backer. I'm going to let you in on a little something. I'm going to kind of show you. We're in the process of, we went back through, and the first play I'll show you really precipitated it. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where you're going through your cut-ups and all of a sudden one play brings everything to a screeching halt and you literally spend a day, 2 days going over it. Hey, how can we make it better? We had that situation come up this spring, so we overhauled how we are doing our power read. There are some minor adjustments to it over the counter read that we had that ultimately we feel like obviously we made the best decision as far as the play goes. But I want to kind of talk to you about what we're doing on it and then show you what our issues were. Now for the pulling guard. Instead of straight pulling it and kicking out the end, he's going to square pull. Some people call it a skip pull. He's going to be working to a second level defender, so he wants to try and keep those hips square. We're going to have him scrape pain off the tackle's butt and work up to for us, the backside linebacker, and I'll explain that in a second. Play side combo, all right? We can really hang on this now. We have taken the offensive line out of really worrying about the front side backer unless that front side backer gives us no choice but to block him. And what I mean by that is if he blitzes downhill and runs into our guard. Otherwise, we're going to take care of everything backside. This is, we're going to go ahead and hang on. We're going to really double the hell out of the number one LOS play side. If he's an A-gap player, the guard knows the tackle's coming with him. He wants to displace him into the backside A-gap. If it's a 3 technique, that tackle wants to knock his ass down to the guard and wants to continue on now all the way back to the backside support. We're no longer in the business of the combo worrying about the backside linebacker. That becomes the pulling guards. That's what that kind of really hit home with me back in my time at Minnesota. We spent a lot of time with the coaches from North Dakota State, and if you've ever watched them or played against them or visited with them, they're as good as anybody in the country are running that tight A-gap power and knocking that thing back where there are times where not even blocking the front side linebacker on that power. It's the same mentality here, and we really took that to heart. There are some issues with it as well that I'll kind of discuss how we try and take care of those, but this is the play that really kind of got us going, and we probably spent too much time on it, but I feel better about where we're at. The way we ran this play last year was we were going to read the end. The guard on the pull, he was going to work. This is the front side linebacker. We're going to go to our right on this. Offense is right. He was going to work inside out on that backer. We got a receiver out here who was going to work outside in. He was blocking for the quarterback keep. The receiver was blocking for the quarterback give. Well, what happened was we need to have our combo. We had our combo working back to a backside backer. They had their backer up. Our tight end made a call, so we know whoever became is what we talked about, that backside backer. So for sake of argument, talk about number 30 being the backside backer right here. So last year, we were looking to work the 30, down man, back block, all that good stuff, and that guard was going to pull. If this backer was gone, he was going to stay on track up to the high safety. All right? That was how it was supposed to be. What happened on this play was we really didn't do a very good job. That tackle tried to knock it down, but he was worried about 30. So he comes off it. Guard isn't doing a great job. He's kind of worried about what 30 is going to do as well. He needs to own that more. But here's the problem we had. The pulling guard gets out of there. He's running. The front side backer's gone. So now his eyes are, okay, where do I go next? Well, I told him, hey, safety, or if the backside backer's over the top. I had that kid looking at a lot of things. And this is a great example where he didn't do any of it very good. His eyes are out there. He's trying to figure out. He kind of takes it more and he delivers it right there. And here's the interesting thing is if you look at this, the quarterback keeps this ball, but his course keeps working further and further out. Where there's a linebacker out there that the only thing that's blocking him, and you'll see right at the end right here. You see where our receiver is? That backer's free. He can come in and take a shot because look at all this pressure coming from inside. So what we talked about was, hey, rather than having that guard worry about this backer if he doesn't blitz, I mean, if he blitzes, he's going to run into him. We got to just get back to the line of scrimmage. It's kind of one of those deals. But let's go ahead and block the hell out of the 3 technique because now we're going to work all the way back to whoever's left. Guard, scrape paint off the tackle's butt, stay tight. You take the backside backer. Let the front side backer decide what he's going to do here. And you know what? They can't help themselves. That back comes flying out of there. He runs out of there. So instead of having all these white jerseys sneaking in there, and all of a sudden, now look at all this pursuit, and believe it or not, even though I would say this is as shitty a block play as you're going to have, is about an 8-yard play, which is utterly amazing. But the point being is I think it could be a lot better. So we started talking about that. And then one of the things that came up was, one of our guys said, well, you know, when you have that guard pulling, if the backer's gone and you do have the backside backer sealed, you got a chance to get up on that safety and have a huge play. And here's the point I make, because I remember this play distinctly. This is from 2 years ago. Our left guard is as physical, or excuse me, as athletic a kid as I've ever coached. He can really run. He's athletic. He gets out of here. We're running the same play, and what happens is he's running. He knows now, hey, they've got it blocked. I'm coming around the bend. He gets up to that safety. Well, the problem is he gets there about the same time as the back. So my contention was that was the one time, and all the times we ran this in practice and everything, we got that guard up to the safety, and as he cut him, he also cut our back. So my point was let's go ahead and double the hell out of the 3. Let him come and scrape paint right here, stay tight. Block that backside backer right there, seal this all, let the receiver block the front side backer, and when we give this, my feeling is if he's blocked and we have any kind of block on him, as our back gets out of there, we should have a good enough back that he's got a chance to at least make a move one-on-one with that safety, as opposed to the train wreck that kind of happens here. Now, I love the kid's effort. He's out there, he's selling out, he's showing his body out there. But, you know, if you're actually giving the tackle, you got to credit our left guard with the tackle in this play. So I said I'd rather make sure that first and second level are secured. Let's let the back earn a scholarship off the safety. So that's kind of what we did, and we started to do it this spring. So I threw a couple clips from spring on here. All right, we're going to run this. This was the first day we did it, and we had been running the counter read here. So that end thought he was going to get blocked. Guard just bypassed him. You can see he kind of blows down in there, actually knocks our center off. But once again, my whole thought process is I'm looking at this play. He's working to the backside linebacker now, staying tight. The tackle's climbing up. So if that quarterback keeps that ball and the backer's over the top, our center got knocked off. But if that quarterback can come out of here backside, now we have somebody even for the backside safety, and it can become a huge play. So that's what, that was the big thing. Nothing changes as far as the tackle. If it is an A-gap player, he's going to stay as tight as possible. Like I said, that end kind of knocks our center off so it doesn't look as clean. But everybody else other than our center there, I feel like if the quarterback kept it, we would have had a good play other than what happens with the center. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the left. So now we're going to read the end of the field here. Or I'm sorry, we're going back in the boundary. All right. Should read look at the highlighting there. Back into the boundary. So now we're going to double this. We got to be better at this. We got to be more physical. But here's the thing is now, Eventually, we get this thing knocked over. If the tackle comes off and seals it on the backside, guard's going to scrape paint, stay tight. Now, here's the thing is, this backer, this kid started out as a safety, then he went to that magical Sam backer for us. Now we moved him inside. Take a look here. Even with that, okay, now the safety's got a chance to make the play. But let's say the safety gets caught up. He's nowhere near making the play, and our guard's nowhere near blocking him. But I guarantee if the quarterback kept that football, that guard's going to play a key factor on that backside backer. So that's what we got to. He's going to scrape paint. We're going to try and get it all sealed off backside. He's got to do a better job of seeing it and coming off on it. The guard's coming. If that quarterback kept it, you'd love for him to hit it right back up underneath. And we should have offensive guys for defensive guys if we get that. So that was the adjustment that we made. Nothing changes as far as we're always looking at, let's make sure we're blocking for the quarterback power. Now we run this to the left. All right, I could have killed our left tackle. He doesn't take a good first step, kind of gets him off kilter. But now, hey, this guard's pulling for that backer. Quarterback now, I'm sorry. He's reading the end. We got somebody to block that inside backer. They can't help themselves. They can't just stay in there if by chance we give that football. It just doesn't happen. So he starts running out of there. Quarterback keeps it. This thing should go right up Main Street. He can't help himself. He gets confused. He blocks that backer. If he were to stay on track back, because what you'll see is there's two back there. We got a receiver going for that one. He's coming back for the backside support. Guards on that. Now we can take that thing and we're running away from these guys because we did a good job for the most part on the backside. Guards got to do a little better job, but that quarterback can keep it vertical. Who makes the play? Backside safety. Who should have the backside safety? Our tackle. So we got some work to do on it, but I like the direction we're heading with it. Going to the field, these are the issues we have with it. All right, this was really good by this tackle. He checks, continues to go, climbs, guard pulls for the backside backer. Quarterback reads the end here. All right, now, end comes running up the field, quarterback sees it. This is the one that I wanted to show with regards to that front side backer, because sometimes people get a little nervous. Coach, you're not sealing that backer inside out. Like I said, these guys have a hard time helping themselves when they see this action. So he runs out of there. Really, if this quarterback, and our breakdown is backside, the backside tackle goes too far on a sift and kind of gets things jammed up and they roll that end over the top. But let's just say in a perfect world, we get that worked out. They have this sealed. All right, guard's got the number one OS. Tackle bypasses, does a good job and keeps climbing. That quarterback should keep that tight right off of the tackle's front side hip. And to me, that never becomes an issue. But because there's leakage backside, it forces the quarterback out, and that's when that backer can get back involved. I really think that backer's got to be really special to get back in there after you give him that action. Of course, because of the way the quarterback had to adjust, it gave that backer a chance. One of the things we do on this, it allows us to, is this is kind of our way to run, I guess you could say, speed option or whatever you want to say. We do the exact same thing. Everything for us is going to be the same. We're going to read the end. We're going to have our tight end now is going to arc for that backer. We've got a receiver for outside. All right, tight end's going to check for blitz. Work up to his backer, keep the helmet outside. So we have that backer blocked outside in. Up front, we're going to knock it down. Tackle can stay forever. Knock it down. We got to get better at that. But he comes off. And now if that quarterback had to, if that end saw this and started running right away, and the quarterback had to, now what we have is we've got people blocked on the backside, even the backside safety as he runs. So that's what we really like about it. That guard's going to stay tight. I like him to stay, yep, that's good right there. Scrape paint, he's working for backside backer. We got bodies on bodies. Now we're tossing that thing. What that does for us here is, if that back was on the other side, teams can scheme it up and they can say, hey, you get tackled down and you get arc, get up the field, disrupt the quarterback's read, force the quarterback to pull it. Backer, you can hang a little bit longer when you see that, even though it's hard for them to do. Here, with this being the same side, just like that swing action on the counter read, on the power read, you run this like a really like an option play. Now the quarterback knows he's pitching it. He gets it out there. I don't know how he teaches, the quarterback coach teaches him to pitch it, not my deal, but he would know right here, and unlike zoning this, he now knows there's a defined point of entry, and then he can work his way back accordingly. So we really like that. This is a good example here. I'm going to show you. This was the same thing. We ran this as a toss action. If we were doing this year, what would happen is that receiver's responsible for inside backer. Our combo is going to be down lineman, number one LOS, to backside support. Guard's going to pull for the backside backer. They blitz the front side backer, so we end up picking it up on our gap scheme, our initial rules. So we've got B gap, A gap. Guard still pulls for his backer. This year, and I'll be shocked if we can get it done, that receiver needs to continue on, and he should take ours because we ended up taking his. Now, if that happens, I'll believe it when I see it. But now that receiver is responsible for that backer. Backer disappears, so we end up taking it. Nothing changes for the guard as he pulls around. You'd love to see number 5, our inside receiver, it's gone. Continue to go and take that backside support. So now the end does go up the field. Quarterback keeps it. Now, instead of maybe, I don't know if he'd even get there to be honest with you, but at least you give yourself a fighting chance. Now the quarterback can get vertical on it and get up the field and maybe even make a move off that backside safety. All right, guys, I got you. I put this on here because I knew this was a sympathetic group right here. All right, I want you to watch the right guard, on his pull. All right. Now, does anybody have a problem with that block right there? All right, I was chewing their ass all game. Get people down, get people down. All right. They called a clip on that. So, or actually, they came back initially and said clip, and then they said, well, because he was out on the perimeter, he's got to be between 10 and 2 on it. He couldn't come from backside there. So that I was so excited. I'm down about at this 20-yard line. I came sprinting down. I was so excited. All of a sudden, that flag came out. My heart sunk. But that was an issue. The reason I put this on here was, number 1, to get a little cheap sympathy. But number 2 was, this is what we're not going to do this year. If you watch our left tackle, and I put clips on from last year to kind of show you why we decided to go with what we did. Watch the left turn he's got to make right there. Well, now, if we're doing what we said, guard's going to come around. He can't get up inside, so he's going to keep coming. He'd have the backside backer, which he eventually gets. Tight end's got the front side backer, and now he'd keep climbing now to that backside safety. Because this is a no-win for that. This is a no-win for that front side tackle because he did a great job of staying tight. If that end had run up the field, we're in great shape if the quarterback kept the football. And like I said, that's a big key for us. Yes? Yep. Yeah. They're thinking quarterback run. In all honesty, obviously, it's not going to be quarterback run, but I don't want to clutter their minds with that. Really, the one thing that we're going to try and do a better job of is at extreme is scrape paint off the tackle's hip until they absolutely don't let you. Because even then, you can continue to wrap around tight and get onto that backer and give it a chance. But the rule still applies as he comes around. If that backer's running, I have no problem if he were to take him and run him into the sideline as long as the body's on a body out there on the second level. So that's what that's the big thing for us. Let me see here. Oh, this was another example here where the guard kind of pulls and the tackle, they kind of end up both on the backside linebacker right here. So he comes and he's starting to roll over the top. The guard doesn't really have anywhere to go, so they both kind of end up on that backside linebacker where, if you watch, there's an overhang over here, where if the quarterback kept that thing and started to work up on through, if that tackle stayed tight and the guard was pulling to that, I think it gives that quarterback now even more comfort to take that thing backside because that overhang down support player is now being blocked, whereas these two guys just kind of both meander out there and both end up on that front side backer and the guard really doesn't even do anything, tackles kind of over there. I think we can be better served, and that was really important. I'm going to buzz through this just real quick here. This was kind of the shovel off of it. This was the one thing I will say is the because I know I only have about a minute here, is the play actions are really, really good. The play actions are really, really good. We have two ways we do this. We will protect it. So the guard, or based on leverage, the center pulls, and it's kind of like the old boot protection, just with a little bit of a fake. And then the other thing is we don't tell the guys up front anything, but we are going to throw the ball, so it's not an RPO. We're definitely going to throw it, but we want to sell, and we want that back, or he's in no man's land. This was a walk-on tight end. We kind of just told him to split out there right at the end there. He got one-on-one with a safety. Quarterback had a chance. This is the same type of deal. Here's the read. They tried to kind of outsmart it. They thought, okay, it's coming. We're going to run it up the field. We're going to create problems. We're going to force a read, and we're going to be right in his face. Quarterback came back, threw it right off his ear. But the big thing with this is, like I said, we do have a fire protection off of the counter read and power read, which is more of almost a boot protection. But here, we don't tell them anything. We let the quarterback and the tight end do work. And it works out pretty well for us. So, real quick, Coach, this is the one. Our tailback now, because we had been running the ball with them. So we decided to do the little pop, the little seam here. We asked them after, I did it, but I was there when they asked him afterwards, why'd you throw that thing so low? And he started to give some explanation about he saw the backside safety, wanted to put it where only he could get it. He's just a shitty thrower, so he just couldn't admit to it. But he had fun with it. We got the ball in there, and it was just different ways. You know, that's the big thing that let me just show you this real quick, because we would even bluff this thing on the perimeter. So now we're working this thing. It's going to be a perimeter play. We actually did it with the toss action. Freezes the outside backer. He says, "I'm not going to get fooled again. I'm going to go tackle the tailback." All of a sudden, now quarterback steps back. Everything's bailing out of there. He's in no man's land. Another way to get the ball. That was another one where we didn't say anything to the guys up front. We just blocked the play. Just real quick, key coaching points, very simple rules. We do both. I don't know if you need to start with both. We eventually do both because it's our outside play. We got to block every play like it's a quarterback. Quarterback's going to keep the ball. It's quarterback power. Hold them to that. I do every play. I don't care if it's given or not. If the DN mesh charge is a problem, use backfield alignment and more motion to keep defenses guessing. It's been good to us. Like I said, you may not run it now, but if you're a gun team, you may be, by the middle of September, your OC may have a flash of brilliance and want you to run it. So hopefully there's a few things in there. You can go back, check it, and say, okay, here's what I need to do. Guys, my time's up. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.